Oh my God, we are alive, Ali. Yes, we are back once again to recap the latest oh my God, 3 episodes of Survivor 41. Episodes, I believe, 7, 8, and 9. Of course, before we do start things out, I am here with my lovely and beautiful co-host, Ellie. How are you doing today?
I'm good. Definitely, definitely getting tired because it's late and I have an early shift tomorrow.
I did nearly pass out before this. I won't lie.
But I mean, I'm just glad we are getting it done, just so we don't fall behind too much.
Yeah, I originally had the idea of us just doing like a merge, like we were just gonna wait till the end of the season and do like a merge episode, but Ali wanted us to really kind of just like chug along and get it done. And I agree, it's probably best to,
Yeah, I just think it's better to like go through each episode because then it's not like a clusterfuck.
Because this isn't Big Brother 22 where nothing fucking happens. There is stuff actually happening
Exactly.
in this. So like
Yeah.
we
This
should
season is
definitely
this season is way better than BB22.
Oh, for sure. And I will say, I think these 3 episodes all have some really crazy moments to them and things that I'm very excited to really discuss. Now, I will be honest, the first episode we're talking about here did not do well in the notes. So we're not going to be talking about it for too long because I don't have a ton of notes about it. But I am going to.
We can just kind of like skim through like the immunity and the tribal and stuff.
Yeah, we'll go through bullet points and things like that. So I guess we'll start off with episode 7 here. So we left off, with Erika, and she's kind of like tasked with this decision whether or not she is going to fucking break the break the hourglass. That's what it is. Break the hourglass.
Yeah.
And like I don't know why they made this seem like such a tough decision for her because I feel like it was pretty
That's
obvious what
true.
she needed to do.
Yeah.
Which no shit, she does decide to break the hourglass, and that changes the course of
Yo.
the game. So the half that was safe is no longer safe, and now the core of like Tiffany and Shan and Liana and a couple other people, they're all safe now. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's basically the way that plays out. We do get the first individual immunity challenge, and Ricard fucking crushes this. Like, it was not close at all. Ricard
Yes.
really just kind of
He
like went in
did.
there. And I mean, we shouldn't be surprised. I think Ricard has definitely shown himself to be like a strong physical player, but I think
Oh
we're
yeah.
really seeing that, especially in this merge phase.
I can definitely see him winning. We'll see though. Like maybe he'll be cut short, but I can also see him winning as well because he's doing really well.
See, I do get why people are saying Ricard can win. I just don't know if he can. I feel like he's too attached to Shan at this point, and
Yeah.
without getting into too much, Shan is not lawn for this. I think Shan is not lawn for this game moving forward, just because of the way that she's playing. I
Yeah.
just don't understand a lot of what she's doing at this point. And I think
Yeah.
Ricard is so like attached to her. I think he's probably gonna end up going because of that. So
Yeah.
I
Oh, for
just don't
sure.
know if I can see him winning, but we'll really have to see the way that plays out. But
Yeah.
let's get into the real stuff we want to talk about here. So, we do have this group forming between Deshawn, Danny, Shan, and Liana. Not a very loyal group at all.
They're
I don't
really not
see.
to each other. I mean, it's
Yeah.
like Shan and Liana versus versus Deshawn and Danny.
Yeah, now I will say in this episode, we don't really have that, crumbling from this group right now. It's
Yeah.
much more of them wanting to target Evvie. They want Evvie out. They
Oh
feel
yeah.
that she's a really big threat. Do you think this was the right move and them wanting to target her?
Like to target Evvie?
Yeah.
Yes and no. Like it is a move. Like she's connected with like Tiff and Xander, but like I don't know. It was kind of like iffy for them in a way. Like I guess like it's 50-50 with me.
Yeah, I honestly didn't think it was that great to target someone like Evvie because Evvie's connected
Mhm.
to Deshawn. Deshawn can pull
Yeah.
her in. She can be a number
Yeah,
for them. Like, I don't really understand why they wanted to go after her. I would have much
I don't
rather them
either.
target someone like, say, Heather or, well, who
Yes.
they end up targeting in the
I
end.
mean, I'm actually happy Heather's getting more of an edit, but still.
Yeah, I will say that Heather definitely is getting a bit more to do in these last two episodes, and I'm
Yeah.
happy about that. But
Oh, yeah,
they
for
want
sure.
to put this target onto Evvie. Xander gets word of this, and look, I'll be honest, I have been really shitting on Xander for like a majority of this season. I'm impressed with the way he handled himself in this episode. He was in a very
Same.
difficult situation, and I think he was able to like weasel out of it pretty well. But I have said this to you before, and I'll say it on here. I want to see Xander in a situation. I want to see Xander when he's not under pressure. I want to see
Me too.
Xander when he isn't being forced to do something, because that will really show me, is he a good player? Is he
I
really
think
a
he's
good
actually
social player?
I think he actually proven himself in Merge. Like, I don't he's not my number 1 or anything,
I'm not
but I
sure
don't
yet for me.
I don't dislike him, but he is definitely improving and showing that he can actually play.
He definitely he's definitely better than I've given him credit for, but like I
Yeah.
said, I don't know how much of that is him being a good player or it's just
Mhm.
him knowing when to save his ass. I'm not really
Yeah.
sure which it is. I will say we've talked about Liana and how Liana is going to outsmart Xander and how Liana is the better player than Xander. I'm not so sure about that. I
I
think
mean, okay.
Liana's fatal.
I think she is a good player. She was just kind of like she kind of screwed herself in this episode though. She just kind of but she basically let them play her.
Yeah, I think Liana as a player right now, I think she had a really strong pre-merge game. I think she's
Mhm.
really not doing well in the merge so far. I am
Yeah.
not really liking what she's doing. And I think my problem with Liana is that she just has this tunnel vision. She's so focused on getting out Xander. We need to target Xander.
Yeah.
And what I'm thinking is like Naseer's right there. Like Naseer has an idol. He has
Yep.
it. Naseer's not going to think you're going to go ahead and take his idol. And so when she's constantly talking about how I need to get the idol from Xander, I'm just kind of like, I don't really think that's the move. Like, obviously, yeah,
No.
you don't trust Xander, but he knows you're going to take the idol from him. He knows about the thing that you have because you told Tiffany. So, like, I just don't think this was the right move at all to ask Xander. I think what she should have done is this would have been a good move if she did this. Like she makes Xander really paranoid to the point
Mhm.
where he doesn't have the idol. He gives it to someone else. And then when he thinks that she's going to take his idol, she does it to Naseer. I think that would have
Yeah.
been a much better move. I would have been much more impressed if she was able to pull that off, but
Yes.
that's not what she does here. She is way too focused on, like I said, just getting out Xander, gun-ho about him at this point. And I think
Mhm.
it did screw her. I do. I do think this is going to really hurt Liana in the end.
Oh yeah, I think so too. But we'll
So
see. Maybe I hope she gets back into how she was pre-merge, but we'll see.
yeah, so that goes down. And then I think the big thing to talk about is let's get into the tribal for that episode because oh my god, it was crazy with them whispering and not really
That was so
knowing
crazy.
what was really going to happen because there were so many names out at that point. You had Evvie, you had Xander, you had Sydney getting a little bit of traction here and there. You didn't really know what was going to happen. And then
Yeah.
you get to the tribal and it is just such a clusterfuck of names. You got
I
like
know.
you got Deshawn's name going this way, you got Evvie's name going this way, and then you got Sydney's name. And we'll talk about that in a little bit. But I think the thing everyone wants us to talk about is the epic line where Liana asks Xander if he has an idol. And what does he say,
Yeah.
Ali? He says,
He's like, "No, you can have this fake." And she's just
yes.
like,
And I
okay.
will say that was an iconic line for sure. I
It
really
was.
enjoyed that moment a lot. The look of just disappointment on Liana's face. Again, on one hand, I feel bad for her because I do think this was a good advantage. But
Mhm.
as I said, I thought it was way too OP to begin with. So I'm kind of glad like
Yeah,
it's not it flopped. I'm kind of glad that it flopped because I didn't really like the idea of it.
it was overpowered, but I mean, it is good, but yeah.
I don't know. I just don't really like the idea that like you work hard for an idol and then you give it to someone just because they asked you and you have to be honest. I just don't really like that at all. So I'm glad that that ultimately did not work out. And I'm also very glad with the way this vote plays out because finally we get rid of the only unlikable person of this entire season in Sydney. And it was such a great blindside the way that she ended up going out. Why the fuck did she play her shot in the dark? Let me just say, like, why did she think that was a
I
good
don't
idea?
know. No idea.
Yeah, so not only do we have Sydney going here, but when Liana does ask Xander, he did hide the idol. Tiffany now does have that idol, which was, again, a really strong move from him. But again, I'm not sure how much of that was his move and how much of that was implemented by Tiffany because Tiffany got the word that Liana had the thing and basically coaxed Evvie and Xander into playing it.
Yeah, exactly.
And the other big part of this is Tiffany is like seconds away from playing the idol to save Evvie, and Xander tells her not to play it. Do you think that was a good move for her to not play the idol there?
Uh, I don't know. Like she basically listened to Xander and did not herself.
Yeah, and I mean, Evvie did get quite a good amount of votes. I think she definitely would have gone if Sydney had not played her shot in the dark. Evvie would have definitely gone there, but of course,
Yeah.
that's not what happened. Sydney does go. Sydney's not on the jury, apparently, even though we're at merge, she's not on the jury. So, yeah, good rinse. Like, I think we made it very clear. Was not a fan of her at all. I didn't like her attitude. I didn't like the way she played the game.
Mm-mm.
I
No.
hate the fact that she basically was like, oh, I never have to see their faces again and things like that. I don't know. I really just don't like her as a person. I don't like the way she carries herself. I don't like her attitude. I don't like the way she looks at everyone. I just think she's very unlikable and not in a way where it's like you love to hate her. I just fucking hate her. I can't stand her. And I'm glad that she's gone because we don't have to talk about her
No, I
anymore.
don't like her at all. Like she's the only person from the season I don't like whatsoever. She was rude, she was cocky, she was just a very high maintenance. She's problematic.
Oh, yeah. She's a Zionist. So, yeah.
Mhm.
Even though I don't fully understand how that stuff works, I know it's not good. So, yeah, good riddance to Sydney. And like I said, I think overall a very strong like first merge episode. I think it really sets the tone off very well. Now let's get into episodes that we do have a lot to discuss about because I have notes for these episodes. Episode 8. Very interesting episode, the way this goes. I don't think it went quite the way that we really expected it to. We get to episode 8 here, and basically Evvie does thank Xander for saving her life at the last tribal council. However, she feels that with the way things played out, Yasa is essentially dead. And I gotta be honest, I think Evvie kind of did this to herself. I think she put a lot of chips into one basket. And I think what really did hurt Evvie is that it never really felt like she was as aligned with them as, she needed to be. It felt like she had different paths to go to the end.
Yeah.
And I think she needed to stick closer to Tiffany and Xander, but I think that Tiffany and Xander had other connections and they just didn't feel as close to Evvie. So I think, honestly, this kind of was her doing that things kind of split up there.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, I agree.
Yeah, so Xander talks about how he also feels like he put way too much trust in both Evvie and Tiffany because they were a lot closer. And Evvie is the saddest over Liana turning on her since she did trust her the most and she doesn't see herself being able to trust her within the game again. Again, I just don't think this was a great move from Liana. I think that she could have stayed loyal to Evvie for a few more rounds. I think it was just a little too early to turn on her here.
Maybe I hope they make
Yeah, we'll see what happens, but she tells Deshawn that she's very happy that he's still here. She's sorry that he got some votes last round and that she's not expecting him to be back on this best terms. And he says that he knows that things flip all the time. And she talks about how she's making an effort to recover all of the relationships because she's ultimately playing a bit too hard and she has made some key mistakes along the way. She does feel that she's very much on the bottom, but she is still trying to make connections. And I think this was a really good episode for Evvie. There's a lot of great stuff for her throughout this one.
Really
she does make a genuine effort to sort of like pull herself out of the rubble here. Meanwhile, we see Tiffany. She's letting everyone know about how many alliances that Evvie truly had. And Xander says that he's glad it happened now because he's willing to work with everyone, and also brings up how she's the one that's been keeping her safe the whole time. And Evvie knows that they're very much at the bottom. And Tiffany then makes this deal with Deshawn as well as everyone. Like literally anyone she goes up to, she's making a deal with, doing whatever she can to what?
I was like, yeah, she'll just be, she's like, let's just make a final two.
Yeah, no, literally. And Xander also seems to be doing the same thing, which I mean, at this point, like that's probably the best thing you can do if you're at the bottom is find ways to not be at the bottom. And Erika then asks Deshawn how he's feeling and if everyone has made amends with him. And he brings up how they tried, but he finds it pathetic, especially knowing that they are at the bottom, and he wants to pick all of them off one by one, which very much contradicts later on what he's saying. And this is my biggest issue with Deshawn as a player. And I think you'll agree with me. He is so fucking wishy-washy. Like it just seems like every time he's like, oh, well, I want to do this. I want to vote off this person. Then he doesn't do that. And I don't understand where his head is at as a player. Like if he's at the end of this game and he's talking about things that he wanted to do, the majority of those things have not happened because he's backed out on doing them, and he had the opportunities to do them. He could do it in this episode. He doesn't do it. The next episode we'll talk about, he also doesn't do it. And it's just Deshawn is just such a frustrating player right now. He's so wishy-washy, and I'm not a big fan of him. I got to be honest. I'm not a big fan of him.
Yeah, I don't dislike him though. Like as a person, I don't. He just
no.
As a player, he's definitely wishy-washy.
No, as a player, he's just really just not doing it for me because like I said, every time I feel like he has like the right path in mind, he goes a different direction. I'm just like, why are you complaining? Like you did this to yourself. So yeah, I'm not a huge fan of the way that he is playing the game right now.
All right, it's time for a reward challenge.
Yes.
Before the challenge happens, we see Jeff hide an advantage on the sit-out bench, and he explains to them that one player will have to sit out and have no shot at the reward. They will go onto a ramp and leap off of it and dive down and release puzzle pieces. They put them in their boat, and once they have them all, they will pull themselves to finish, where two players will use them to win a grilled cheese.
And this made me like really want a grilled cheese. Like every time I watch this scene, I'm like, give me that grilled cheese. Give me some tomato soup. I want it right now. But also, like, how many fucking comps do they do? What?
Grilled cheese is so good.
It is, yes. But also, like, how many comps are they going to do that involves fucking puzzle pieces? I feel like it's like almost every comp they've done have involved them. And I'm just like, do you have like any other props like on set? Do you just have puzzle pieces? Like, are you just reusing the same objects over and over again? Is COVID like fucked you that bad? But like, I digress. It's just something I noticed. A lot of puzzle pieces going on this season.
I know. That's very true.
Yeah.
Once again, they draw yellow, blue, and gray rocks. The blue team is Ricard, Evvie, Deshawn, Danny, and Xander. The yellow team consists of Naseer, Heather, Shan, Liana, and Xander.
So almost the exact same draw as last time.
Wait, why is Xander on both?
Oh. Oops. And then Tiffany.
Oh yeah, the yellow team consists. So it's the blue team is Ricard, Evvie, Deshawn, Danny, and Xander. Yellow team consists of Naseer, Heather, Shan, Liana, and Tiffany.
Yeah, so almost the exact same draw as last time.
Pretty much. Erika once again has a gray rock and will be sitting out of this competition. However, Xander decides to take her spot, and she is placed onto the blue team.
This is one of two times that Xander does this, and like, this to me is an example of me thinking Xander maybe isn't that great because he keeps like, I get what he's trying to do. I get that he's trying to show that he's a team player. I get that he's trying to show that like he's willing to like sit out, but you're at the merge at this point. Like you shouldn't be volunteering to like sit out of comps. It's just not a good thing to do at this point. I also feel like it's a bit performative. It's like, oh, well, I'm on your side because I know I'm at the bottom, so I need to look like as good as possible. It just, I don't know. I didn't really like the way he handled that. I didn't think it really worked either time. It felt very just like forceful to me. Like he was doing it in an effort to save himself. And I wasn't super into it.
Yeah, me either. Ultimately, the blue team ends up winning this challenge, which is pretty much dominated by Evvie and Erika.
Yeah, they both fucking killed it here. I was honestly very impressed by both of them. I think that they really did step up. Erika in particular is someone that we haven't been seeing a lot of, but in these 2 episodes, she gives a lot of promise. And I would not be surprised if Erika made it to the end of this game because I do think she does have it in her. I mean, I dropped her for a reason, so.
She talks about how she knew this from Edge of Extinction. Xander did not find an advantage, and
which again, like, why even hide the advantage? Like, I didn't understand the point of that because he didn't even find it.
He didn't. Everyone enjoys a grilled cheese and chips. Tiffany talks about. Me too. Tiffany talks about how last time almost every single player that was with her for the last challenge was with her once again, and they also lost again.
Right.
Shan mentions wanting to go for Evvie. She feels she is one of the biggest threats, especially to how much of a Superman she is, and that they need to target her as soon as possible.
Which, again, I just don't think was the smartest move. And, I mean, I get why they want to target Evvie here because Evvie was winning, like, a lot of comps. But, like, at this point, like, again, why are you targeting Evvie? She's at the bottom. There's no reason to, like, go after her.
Yeah, like, she shouldn't have went after her, at least yet.
Yeah.
Xander says another reason he chose to sit out is because he loves being with the losers, who has also presented the idea of targeting Evvie.
Which he seemed sort of for, I think, if I remember.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
Liana says Xander is someone she's wanted out since the very beginning, but now she's considering working with him, which the best survivors have had to do.
Which I was so here for. I was like, yes, this is the way that you do it. Like you stop fixating on wanting to target Xander and you try to like join forces with him. I was so for her doing this, but we'll talk about what actually happened.
I think they would be a really good duo if they teamed up.
I agree. I think that people wouldn't expect it either.
Me neither. That'd be so cool. Naseer looks for papayas, knowing they can't dwell on the lack of food for too long and need to move forward. Shan is annoyed that Ricard wants the papaya, especially with him having taken part in getting the eat the grilled cheese where they haven't gone to eat. While he is her number one, this really makes her potentially change up how she feels about him, especially with him wanting to take something away from people at the bottom.
And this is really where we start to see Shan in a very different light, I think. I think at this point, we really see Shan as someone that people are just not really vibing with. And I understand Ricard being upset with her because, you know, it's everyone's food. It's everyone at the island's food. But also, like, the girl hasn't eaten like properly in like days. So obviously she's going to be quite cranky considering that she just hasn't had like a nutritious meal in like a few days. So like just be patient, you know, like that's probably what I'd say. Like I get it why he was upset, but also like she hasn't eaten properly in days. So
he brings up how there's a divide that just because they've eaten before, they aren't allowed to eat anything else during the day, which he isn't okay with. He says that
I mean that's kind of ridiculous.
Yeah. He says that he's worried Shan will resent him for getting all the rewards.
Right. So we then get to the next individual immunity challenge. Everyone has to balance a block of wood on their heads, which will cause fatigue within their legs. Jeff lets them know that if anyone doesn't feel they can win the challenge, they can opt out for a single position of rice, or if as a group they want to offer multiple people to sit out of the challenge, they will get a big bag of rice for everyone for 3 days. At first, we see that Naseer and Shan are the only ones to step forward, but Xander then volunteers to do so if one person does step up. Originally, I believe the deal was 6, and then it ended up being renegotiated to 4. Ricard is the last person to step forward, and am now given rice to the entire group. I thought this was kind of cool. It's like seeing who really wants to, like, who's playing for themselves and then who's playing for the tribe. It kind of shows that, which I liked a lot. So I thought that was interesting. So the challenge then goes down. Once again, Evvie just crushes this challenge and wins immunity and for the round in the shortest the challenge has ever gone, apparently. Which, I've never seen this challenge play out, but from what I've heard, usually it goes on a lot longer. These people were dropping like flies and they really had no chance against Evvie, who was just really dominating this entire challenge. So I was not surprised that she ended up pulling off the win here. When it came to this challenge. And basically, Liana's not happy that Evvie won immunity, especially since this was how her and Xander were planning to work together. She now hopes to see him play as idol unnecessarily and then cause Tiffany to go home. And I'm just thinking, why not just throw out a different name? Why not still try to team up and just throw a name on someone else? I didn't really understand that, but she, again, is still so focused on, we got to go for Xander. We got to go for Xander. Xander needs to be out of this game. And again, I think that she really should have tried to work with him, lock something down. They're in, honestly, kind of similar positions right now, more than you think. And I think that would definitely help out Liana a lot. But basically, if they were able to do that, the only 2 idols would then be Naseer and Shan lets Danny, Ricard, and Naseer in on the plan that she wants to flush Xander's idol and to send Tiffany home. They're going to split the votes between them, and Naseer wants to hang on to his idol because he does trust Shan and Ricard a lot, which, again, Naseer is just, he's too good for this cast. He's such a nice guy. All these people are just so strategic and things like that, and Naseer is just... Oh, did you fall asleep?
Huh?
Did you fall asleep?
No, I'm just getting tired.
Oh, we can pause for now and come back to it later after this episode.
I mean, we might as well just get it done.
Okay.
Just so we don't have to worry.
Yeah, so what I was saying before is Naseer is just probably the most noble guy on the entire cast. He's just so nice to everyone. He's way too nice for this group.
I love Naseer so much.
Oh, yeah. So Danny and Deshawn seem to want to try to weaken Naseer, but Shan remains firm that Xander is the biggest threat right now. But it seems that they're both unsure if that's really the case. And Deshawn, we see here, is especially annoyed that Shan doesn't seem to be listening to him, and he's thinking of possibly targeting her soon if they don't fix the cracks within their alliance. So we really see that alliance is not going that well, and Deshawn then tells her that they need to communicate better because he doesn't like it when his opinion is being ignored, and she asks him to explain to her when she wasn't absorbing his opinion, and lets him know that his voice does matter. And she says that she wants Naseer around because he provides for the camp and she can use that. Yeah. And while she wants Deshawn to be heard, her game is social and feels that she has to be the one to move the needle and needs to convince them that her way is the best way. And I mean, that's not a bad way to play Survivor. Again, I think just Deshawn is a very wishy-washy player, and it doesn't seem like he... And this is why, Deshawn is frustrating me, because on one hand, he's like, don't control me, Shan, but then goes with what she wants in the vote anyway. So I just, why even complain if you're just going to do it?
That's very
I just don't really get it. I don't really get Deshawn as a player right now, but she brings it to Naseer.
I don't hate him. I just, his game is just really messy right now.
He's just not making sense to me. But she brings
No,
him to Naseer what's going on. He
he
tells her
makes
not
no
to
sense
throw.
right now. He makes no sense right now. He's being very chaotic.
Yeah. So he tells her not to throw his name out and that they should use Heather as a decoy name and that they need to switch it and that they need to tell Xander to go for Heather. He's confused by this since Naseer and Tiffany were the names presented to him first. He's now trying to figure out what is the root of all these problems, and he talks to Tiffany and he brings up targeting Heather doesn't really make much sense. And Tiffany feels that it may be her, especially since she's very unsure who the vote is tonight. She struggles to make connections with anyone she can. And we get a scene with Heather. Heather actually gets a scene in this episode. And I was like, oh my God, Heather is getting screen time.
Oh my God.
But she goes to Shan and Erika and she brings up how two idols could be played and she could be the one going. She talks about how she doesn't really trust Shan at all at this point, especially with how much she wants to dictate the votes. And this was good. Like, I like seeing where Heather's mindset was at. I only wish we got this a little bit earlier. I do wish we could have gotten more into like Heather's mind for the game, because at this point it's like I don't really know what she's doing. So this is all kind of coming out of nowhere for me. But it is good that she's finally getting like some kind of screen time. You know, we've been begging for it for so long. I'm glad she's finally getting it. But
yeah, like Heather was just like so like invisible pre-merge, but then I guess the merge she's actually doing really well.
Yeah. So basically she says that her name shouldn't have been brought up at all into this, and Shan makes it clear that she wasn't the one who pushed for it, and Shan is really hoping that this plan does work out. But let's get into the tribal council. I'm going to have you read like the first like all the notes before the votes, and then I'll read what happens during the vote.
All right. Xander talks about how much he was willing to prove to the tribe that he would sacrifice immunity who haven't been as fortunate with the rock draw. Naseer says that his tribe matters a lot to him. Heather says that she competed because she's scared and doesn't want to go home in fear. She said in the bottom, Tiffany feels the same way. Evvie says she doesn't know who to vote for today and knows the plans afoot. She's so smart.
Yeah, she really is. She really is.
Denny brings up how the Yasa 3 had a big plan and now we're putting on theatrics and that they want to cut each other, but she is unsure if it's actually true. Evvie brings up how she literally told Tiffany to play her idol and then didn't, and that the only reason she's still here is because of Sydney playing her shot in the dark.
Which is true. Like that's definitely the reason why Evvie stayed, and that's why she was guaranteed another round.
I know. Crazy.
So before the vote takes place, they all decide to start whispering again, and they conduct another live tribal where Heather tries to get everyone to vote for Naseer, and then we see Ricard is telling Xander that he needs to play his idol. He keeps going to him, play your idol, play your idol, play your idol. And we get the vote, and Shan tells Liana that they should change the vote to Heather, especially with the chaos that she's causing. Shan tries to continue the live tribal, and Deshawn tells her they need to vote because he doesn't like being told what to do. It seems that he isn't down to vote with them. And so after all this chaos, we get a surprisingly very straightforward vote. There's no idols or advantages that were played here, which was really weird considering that like Ricard is telling Xander to like play his idol and he doesn't even do it. We get to the actual vote here, and it turns out that basically Tiffany is actually the next person eliminated by a vote of 5-2 to 2-1, with Heather getting 2 votes. I think Deshawn also got 2 votes. And then I don't remember who the 1 vote was for, but she's the next person eliminated, as well as the first member of the jury. Kind of robbed here. I was not expecting Tiffany to go at all. I think a lot of people saw her as like the winner of the season.
Okay. I don't think she would be a winner pick, but I could have seen her to make at least like top 4.
I saw a lot of people saying that she could make it all the way to the end, so I was very surprised.
I can't believe she literally like. I can't believe that.
Yeah, I was very surprised that she went here, and she talks about how this was kind of a terrible move and everyone's playing too safe, and she's not wrong. I don't think this was a good move for many people. I don't think Tiffany was really in that good of a position. Like, honestly, she was very much at the bottom, and I think that getting rid of her, they could have really done it at any point. So I don't think this was the greatest move in targeting Tiffany here. And I do think we're going to stop here because I'm tired, and we'll talk about episode 8 later.
Wait, are you sure?
Yes.
Wait, we need to finish episode... Should we just finish episode 8 and then do 9 later?
That is the end.
Oh, I thought you didn't... You were just going to read what she said.
I did.
Oh, okay.
I did. So we'll talk about episode 9 later.
Okay.